Good evening and welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 17th of January. India's main cities record sharp fall in COVID-19 infections. Taliban pledged to allow all Afghan girls to return to school after March 21st. And month-long religious festival begins in Nepal with holy dips, prayers amid pandemic. Now for all the details, India's daily COVID-19 infections have continued to cross the 200,000 mark amid the Omicron-driven surge. However, capital New Delhi and financial hub Mumbai have reported a big fall in cases in the past 2 days, and most of those who contracted the virus have recovered at home, authorities said on Monday.
India's capital New Delhi and financial hub Mumbai have reported a big fall in COVID-19 infections in the past 2 days, and most of those who contracted the virus have recovered at home, authorities said on Monday. Mumbai's daily new infections fell below 10,000 on Sunday for the first time since early this month, after touching an all-time high of 20,971 on January 7. Meanwhile, cases in New Delhi have fallen consistently since hitting a peak of 28,867 on January 13 and are expected to further go down, Delhi's health minister said. Both cities have said more than 80% of their COVID-19 hospital beds have remained unoccupied since the fast-transmitting Omicron variant led to a massive surge in cases from the start of the year.
Definitely, दिल्ली में देखो चौथा दिन है जो लगातार जो डाउन जा रहे हैं, और मैंने पहले भी बताया था इसकी एडवांस इंडिकेशन उसी से आ गया था कि जो हॉस्पिटल एडमिशन थे, भाई एडवांस इंडिकेटर होता है हॉस्पिटल में एडमिशन की हॉस्पिटल में एडमिशन की बढ़ने वाली रफ्तार रुक गई थी, तो हॉस्पिटल में एडमिशन बढ़ नहीं रहे, तो इसका मतलब थोड़े दिनों में रेट कम होने वाला है और कम हो चुका है.
However, India's daily COVID-19 infections rose by 258,089 on Monday, taking the tally to 37.38 million. Experts have attributed the low hospitalizations to high levels of previous infections and vaccination. India has fully vaccinated about 70% of its 939 million adults and hopes to give the primary 2 doses to another 70 million or so teenagers by next month.
And in news from Pakistan, Pakistan's opposition Jamaat-e-Islami party chief Siraj-ul-Haq on Sunday hit out at Prime Minister Imran Khan and called him an international beggar for seeking IMF funding. He said that Imran Khan's departure is the only solution to all the problems of the country, which is marred with financial losses.
Dubbing Pakistan's PM Imran Khan as international beggar, opposition Jamaat-e-Islami party chief Siraj-ul-Haq on Sunday stated that Khan's departure is the only solution to all problems of the country, which is marred with financial woes. Speaking at a gathering ahead of local body polls in Lahore, Haq called for fresh election in the country and slammed the government for frequent price hike. He said Imran Khan and Pakistan cannot function together.
क्या खाएंगे, क्या पहनेंगे, कैसा कारोबार चलेगा, कैसा पाकिस्तान चलेगा. पीटीआई ने मईशत का बेड़ा गर्क कर दिया.
Haq's remarks came over Pakistan's government's decision to pass a controversial mid-year budget last week. The legislation is a part of a deal with International Monetary Fund that has made further budgetary tightening a condition for the revival of stalled $6 billion funding program. The IMF approval is crucial for the South Asian country of 220 million, which is struggling with external and current account deficits, a depreciating currency, struggling foreign reserves and rising inflation.
Moving on, continuous heavy snowfall has brought life to a standstill in the illegally occupied region of Gilgit Baltistan. Due to bad condition of roads and poor connectivity, locals are facing a lot of difficulties, and this has also affected tourism in the region. But the Pakistan government is least bothered about their problems, residents said.
The picturesque landscape of the Gilgit Baltistan region attracts many tourists during the snowfall season. Scores of tourists throng the region every year to enjoy its mesmerizing weather and beautiful mountains terrain. However, locals in the illegally occupied region have claimed due to bad road conditions, poor connectivity and no snow clearance operation, the region is witnessing a decline in the tourism sector. They blame even they have to face difficulties to commute and arrange basic commodities, but the government is not at all bothered.
रास्ते मुकम्मल बंद रहते हैं, खाने पीने की किसी किस्म की कोई सब्जी या दाल या किसी किस्म की चीज़ यहाँ पे इस वक्त मुहैया नहीं हो रही। तो फिर उस बाद अगर रास्ता खुले भी है 10 दिन बाद या 15 दिन बाद उस पर 6,000 रुपये मान लग सी।
Gilgit Baltistan is known to be the coldest region of Pakistan. Since the start of the year, the continuous heavy snowfall has brought life to a standstill in the illegally occupied region.
And in news from Afghanistan, Taliban spokesman Zabihullah Mujahid has said that authorities are hoping to be able to reopen all girls' school across Afghanistan in the new solar year, which starts on March 21st, offering the first timeline for addressing a key demand of the international community.
Taliban spokesperson Zabihullah Mujahid, who is also the Deputy Minister of Culture and Information, in an interview told the Associated Press past Saturday that their education departments are looking to open classrooms for all girls and women following the Afghan New Year, which starts on March 21st. We are not against education, Mujahid stressed. Girls and boys must be completely segregated in schools, he said, adding that the biggest obstacle so far has been finding or building enough dorms or hostels where girls could stay while going to school. So far, the Taliban dictates have been erratic, varying from province to province. Since the Taliban takeover in mid-August last year, girls in most of Afghanistan have not been allowed back to school beyond grade 7. Private universities and high schools in capital Kabul have continued to operate uninterrupted. Most are small and the classes have always been segregated. The Taliban has always been under pressure from the international community, who have mostly frozen funds for Afghanistan, to commit upholding women's rights since the takeover. The international community says it will judge the Taliban by their actions, even as it scrambles to provide billions of dollars to avert a humanitarian catastrophe that the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres last week warned could endanger the lives of millions. Earlier this month, the United Nations launched a $5 billion appeal for Afghanistan, the single largest appeal for one country.
And moving on to news from Nepal. Nepal on Sunday started giving COVID-19 vaccine booster shots as coronavirus infections surge due to Omicron variant. The Health Ministry has said the booster doses will be restricted to frontline workers for 1 week, after which they'll be offered to people 60 and older.
Nepal began giving COVID-19 vaccine booster shots on Sunday, as coronavirus infections surged due to the spread of the Omicron variant, officials said. The Himalayan nation has reported over 853,730 confirmed COVID-19 cases so far since the pandemic began. The booster shots will be restricted to frontline workers for 1 week, the Health Ministry said, after which they'll be offered to people 60 and older. Those who have completed 6 months after getting a second vaccine dose will be eligible for booster dose, the government said in a statement.
Government of Nepal have decided to carry on with the booster dose and starting from today. They have privileged first the frontline workers, that is the hospital staff, and then frontlines like police, traffic, etc.
हाम्रो हस्पिटलमा पनि नर्सिङ स्टाफ सँगसँगै स्वास्थ्य कर्मीहरू हस्पिटलमा काम गरेकोहरू इन्फेक्टिभिटी एकदमै 7 टाइम्स जस्तै हाम्रो बढिरहेको अवस्थामा अहिले म्यान पावर चाहिँ अरेन्ज गर्नुको लागि धेरै नै समस्याहरू आइरहेको बेलामा अहिले जुन कोभिडको चाहिँ बुस्टर डोजहरू आयो त्यसको लागि धन्यवाद दिँदै यो चाहिँ एकदमै युजफुल अर्को चाहिँ फ्रन्टलाइनरहरूलाई चाहिँ एउटा मोटिभेसन एउटा इन्करेजमेन्ट पनि हो यो.
The government has banned large public gatherings and closed schools and colleges until the end of January to curb the rate of infection. It is also compulsory for people to produce proof of full vaccination to use public services from this week onwards.
And more on news from Nepal. Scores of Hindu devotees took a holy dip in the Saalinadi River in Nepal as the month-long festival of Swosthani Brata Katha began on Monday. The annual event is devoted to fasting, holy bathing and reading of sacred text.
Braving the winter chills, scores of Hindu women devotees gathered at the banks of Saalinadi River in Nepal to take a holy dip and offer prayers as part of rituals of Swosthaani Brata Katha festival that began on Monday. The annual month-long religious festival is marked by fasting, holy bathing and reading sacred scriptures, especially by women, for their family's welfare or getting a good spouse. Devotees during the festival read one chapter out of 31 lessons a day from the religious book of Swosthani, which comprises of stories including tales on creation of the world, Hindu deities and demons.
शिवलिङ्ग राख्ने बालुवाको देवता थाप्ने स्थापना गर्ने अब हरेक दिन नुहाउने पूजा गर्ने कथा सुन्ने त्यही चोखो खाने
हामीले यसलाई मेलाको रूपमा नबनाऊ मात्र माधव नारायण व्रतको रूपमा चाहिँ हामीले सञ्चालन गरिराखेका छौं र यसमा चाहिँ हामी प्रत्येक दिनको नित्य पूजा र माधव नारायण व्रत चाहिँ सुचारू रूपले सञ्चालन गर्छौं.
Devotees who observe fast during the festival do not eat foods cooked by others. They only eat rice, sugar, peas amongst the foods that are considered sacred. On the final day of the fasting, all the offerings made to different gods are immersed in the river.
In a bid to boost the income of farmers and promote the production of kachai lemon, an exotic horticultural fruit, a 3-day-long festival was organized in India's northeastern state of Manipur. Lemon cultivation is one of the main sources of income for the farmers in the region.
The 18th edition of the Kachai Lemon Festival was held over the past weekend at Kachai village ground in Ukhrul district of India's northeastern Manipur state. The annual event aims to promote this unique kind of lemon fruit and to encourage lemon farmers. Themed Organic Kachai Lemon for Safe Environment and Rural Transformation, more than 360 stalls were put up by the local lemon farmers. Kachai Lemon of Manipur has also been accorded Geographical Indication or GI registration tag and is widely grown in Ukhrul's Kachai village.
Jaitek phangre aduda pharmacy tawdrabte akhoi santhum lanthumgi lambi di atokpa leiteba aduna akhoi se adum isana chambra pharmacy egi ijani hina bambi amada phachana sinnarabdi phachana tawbirabdi soidana akhoi chambra se akhoi manipur ngata natat na mapan atoppa dusu akhoi se produce tawba ngamgni hina adum.
Unlike the other lemon varieties grown in other parts of the world, Kachai lemon is considered unique because of its high ascorbic acid. Authorities said more than 200,000 lemon plants are growing in the village today and lemon production has increased 8-fold.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. India's main cities record sharp fall in COVID-19 infections. Taliban pledged to allow all Afghan girls to return to school after March 21st. And month-long religious festival begins in Nepal with holy dips, prayers amid pandemic. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.